Hello, Theodore Shoebat here, giving you guys another message that you will not hear at church. I guarantee that. Another video has been released revealing and exposing the concentration camps that are being conducted in the United States that have butchered more people than Hitler could have ever dreamed of, and that have probably killed more people, or I could at least say rivals, with the communists and the Muslims, and that is the abortion clinics. Another video installment reveals just what is taking place, the silent Holocaust, the biggest Holocaust ever taking place right here in the United States, or I should say is having a part in the United States because there's abortion all throughout the world, but nonetheless in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, where the Statue of Liberty is ostentatiously presented as the monument of freedom and liberty, here we have in the United States clinics where hundreds of thousands of people have been butchered, and their murders and the murderers are protected by the state, funded by the state, and esteemed as a legal right by this very state that calls itself free, that tells the whole world that they are the epitome of freedom. And you look at this video, there's a woman by the name of Holly O'Donnell. She was working for Planned Parenthood, and she reveals what evils that she saw, what evils that she was being asked to take part in. And also, part of the video is a secretly filmed situation in Planned Parenthood in which the doctors are presenting arms and legs and the head of a baby, and they're just nonchalantly talking about how they can sell them and how how they can use the tissue in the laboratory and all that. And just to read to you guys a little bit of the report before I show you guys some of this video. The woman, Holly O'Donnell, she was a phlebotomist and she was working with blood, and she didn't know what she was getting into, apparently. She said she doesn't know what she's getting into. And she went into Planned Parenthood. She saw the body parts. She didn't know exactly what they were because they looked like just a bowl of tissue, just a kind of a blob of tissue. She didn't really know exactly what was happening. She didn't realize it was human tissue, human blood. It's a murdered human being that she's working with. And she says, I could feel death and pain shoot up my body. I thought I was going to be just drawing blood, not procuring tissue from aborted fetuses. And she just about lost it, and she blacked out. She dropped. She fainted. And when I watched the video, I just couldn't help but think, oh my goodness, here we have concentration camps in the United States. Conspiracy theorists talk about concentration camps. We already have them. We already have them, and they are worse than what was taking place in the Holocaust. They are worse than the Holocaust that we keep talking about on History Channel, and we have all of these Jews, liberal Jews, coming out and saying, oh, never again, the Holocaust is never again. Well, never again is happening again. It's happening right now as we speak. It's occurring right now as we speak. And so this video is just another evidence to this great sinister evil that's happening right in our midst with the approval of this government that calls itself land of the free. Play the clip.
Thought I was going to be just drawing blood, not procuring tissue from aborted fetuses. I basically just went on Craigslist, typed in the word phlebotomist, lab technician, and I clicked the link to apply. It said procurement technician. I went to the website, it said STEM Express, and apply now. I applied. It was really short. It wasn't even an application. It was your name, your phone number. That was it. And I got an email back, and I interviewed. And they don't even let you know in the interview what you're doing. STEM Express is a company that hires procurement techs to draw blood and dissect dead fetuses and sell the parts to researchers. They partner with Planned Parenthood, and they get part of the money because we pay them to use their facilities, and they get paid from it. They do get some kind of benefit. we were asked to procure certain tissues like brain, liver, thymus, pancreas, heart, lungs, and pretty much anything on the fetus. It's basically huge trafficking of fetal tissues. Whatever we could procure, they would get a certain percentage. The main nurse was always trying to make sure that we got our specimens. No one else really cared, but the main nurse did because she knew that Planned Parenthood was getting compensated. So she wanted to make sure that everything was going great for us, that it was going great for them, and for us, and it was going great for them. The harder and the more valuable the tissue, the more money you get. So if you can somehow procure a brain or a heart, you're going to get more money than just like chorionic villi or umbilical cord. That's basically what it is. So that, I guess that's an incentive to try and get the hard stuff, to get more money. So I remember my first day, I was at the Concord Clinic, and it was very early in the morning. I was with one of my trainers, and I walk in, I meet the staff, and I look over in the corner and there's a little light tray with pie dishes on it. I'm like, okay. And then I see someone come in with a bottle of something and there was blood in it. I'm like, okay. And then they went over to the sink and they emptied it out in a strainer and put it on the pie dish and lit it up, and I'm like looking like, what's going on? And my trainer comes over and she puts on gloves and she grabs some tweezers and she's picking the parts away from the vaginal tissue. And I've never had anxiety before this at all. So I'm looking and I don't know what's going on. I had no idea this was what was going to be happening, especially my first day. And she has tweezers, and she's like, okay, well, this is the head, this is the arm, this is a leg, and she hands them over. So, oh, here you go. Can you show me some of the parts I just showed you? And I grabbed the tweezers. I'm like, because I didn't want to lose this job. I didn't know. I was already stoked to get it. So I did what she said, and the moment I took the tweezers, I put them in the dish. I remember grabbing a leg, and I said, this is a leg, and the moment I picked it up, I could just feel like death and pain. Like, I've never felt that before, like shoot up through my body. And I blacked out, basically. They got the smelling salt. I woke up in the recovery room and looking around, I was really embarrassed, who faints to their first job. And when nurses looks at me, it's like, oh, you're new, huh? I'm like, yeah, don't worry, it still happens to a bunch of us. I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, some of us don't ever get over it. And I remember leaving that day, like, what have I got myself into?
So would you call that intact?
These are intact kidneys,
okay.
yes. If somebody needed...
Because if I looked at that, I'd be like, that's good to go.
Oh, yeah.
That's like 21.
Yeah.
5 stars.
Yeah, you could start a neural cell culture from this neural tissue right here.
Like, would someone want that?
This?
Yeah. Any
Yeah,
of this?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, someone would definitely...
So even at 11 weeks, even though it's really early, because I know that's when we talked about
this is neural tissue that people could take, and look, and you see how it's still connected through the spinal cord back there. If you
we just send that all together, and they pick it out.
You could actually, yeah. Yeah, some people prefer that actually because it keeps it a little more protected. Yeah, that 11.6 was pretty good. There was there was like 3 or 4 samples we could have taken out of the 11.6, so that would be if we were doing like 50 to 75 per specimen, that would be like 200, 300, right? And we'd be comfortable with that. But like it's like stuff like this, like we don't want to be like just a flat fee of like 200 and then it's like
no, and I think the per item thing works a little better just because we can see how much we can get out of it.
Now, after watching that, I want to make just one simple observation that's been on my mind for a while, and that is abortion. I don't like calling it abortion. It's just a word that the feminists have. It's a word that the feminists have come up with to basically control us in the tyranny of cliches, so that we can think that a murdered baby is simply just an aborted mission. Abort the mission. I mean, that's really what they're making it out to be, and they're using these words to dictate this thought in our consciences. When in fact it's not abortion, it's not an aborted mission, it's not an aborted fetus, it's a murder of a human being. And for some reason, even though this is the greatest Holocaust ever, at least one of the greatest Holocausts ever, even though it's happening right in our midst, even though it's being completely protected by the government, by the Supreme Court, why are politicians, so many politicians, afraid to even address this issue in an enthusiastic and intense way? Why are they so afraid to address this issue in an emotional, passionate, enthusiastic, and noble manner? They are more passionate about finding jobs and bettering the economy and finding businesses and work for people in a land where you have like 300 and what? How many people live in America? 330 million people live in the United States, something like that. It's over 300 million. We can say that to be safe. In a land where you have literally hundreds of millions of people living in this huge land, America's like one of the third largest nation in the world. We got tremendous amounts of land. And people have difficulty finding jobs for some reason. I go out, I see people living life. I see people working. I go to the restaurants, they're packed. I see the restaurants, they're packed. It doesn't look like we're suffering very much in the United States, and yet they're talking more about jobs than they are talking about these massacres. And it's pretty much all of them. They're all terrified of addressing the largest Holocaust happening by the tax dollar. And we're going to talk about ISIS, how we're going to fight ISIS, how we're going to beat ISIS. ISIS is already here. They're the abortion doctors. They're the feminists in the pimp striped suits. They're the feminists in the pressed clean attire that they wear, and these dresses that they're dressed up in. They're the career women who are maintaining this evil. They're worse than ISIS because they're accepted by the modern society. They give this appearance of modernity and civility and femininity and, women's empowerment and all that crap. But in reality, they're just as bad as the freaking Nazis. And we're talking about jobs and economy and the border. And I'm like, have we lost our freaking minds? It just pisses me off so much. And honestly, it really enrages me. This politician says that, and these politicians can talk what they want. Listen, I don't give a damn what they want to say. I don't give a damn about them, to be honest with you. They're just men. They're just politicians. They're just people who want to look for power. That's it. Sure, they can do some good things to better the country in some way or shape or form. I'm not denying that. But they're just freaking men. And I really had it up to here. I really had it. Of just nonchalantly looking at this Holocaust. Nonchalantly looking at it. And if you want to bring it up religiously, if you want to talk about this in a passionate and enthusiastic way, you're considered to be an imprudent, wacko zealot of some sort. And if a politician brings this up, he's a wacko zealot. And it's not, he's against murder, or he's against a woman's right to choose. Listen, you slut, you had the right not to have sex. You had the choice not to have sex. No one is addressing that choice. For some reason, the only choice that we're speaking of is the right to kill a child. And you want to talk about jobs? All you politicians out there are talking about jobs, and it's about jobs, it's about jobs, it's about jobs. Well, listen, if you got rid of abortion, you would have tens of millions of people being born. That's tens of millions of people being added to the American population. And each one is a potential consumer. Each one is a potential producer. The two types of people that you need to maintain a nation and to maintain and to form an economy. Producers and consumers. Supply and demand. You need people. The economy is not just some mainframe computer that you can just manipulate a little bit to make it better. The economy consists of people. People is economy. People equals economy. Without people, you have no economy. But people don't seem to recognize this. I mean, G.K. Chesterton talked about this. He says, the economy is the people. And if the people are not upright, if the people are lazy, if the people have no work ethic, the economy goes down. The economy is dictated by human action, human morality, human willpower. That is what determines an economy. But the morons in the street think the economy is just something you can manipulate with. Politicians are going to go up there, he's going to fix the economy. No, the people need to fix the economy. The people are working. And if you're having children, that means more economy. That means more workers. That means more producers. So there you go. I just fixed your economic problem. I just fixed it for you. And yet they're talking about how, the government needs to fund this. So the government is now destroying the very thing. I don't want to call people thing, but just for the sake of articulation, the government is destroying the very thing that is the economy, which is people. The government is destroying those that are the economy, that maintain the economy, that sustain the economy. Human life sustains the economy, but yet we're killing people. And we're talking about how we need to fix the economy, yet we're killing people. We're talking about how we need to cut down crime, yet we're funding money that murders people. We're talking about illegal immigrants killing people in America, yet we're not talking about the government funding using tax dollars and protecting a murderous institution, or institutionalized racism, and institutionalized group like Planned Parenthood, which is anti-humanity, which is murdering people. Illegals are coming in. We're making it like the illegals are invading the nation. Listen, I'm not saying we shouldn't care about illegal immigration. We should, and it is a problem. There's no doubt about that. But we're making it as though that is the biggest issue, when it's not. It really isn't. Mexicans are coming in. Many of them are working. Yes. Many of them have goodwill. Yes. A lot of them are criminals. We should get rid of those. Not arguing that whatsoever. But why are we making this the biggest issue? Why are we making this as though the Mexicans are invading the United States? And that's never going to happen. And another thing, the reason why the reason why a lot of companies want Mexicans is because the Americans aren't really having children. People aren't being born. So who's going to do the labor? And the white people, they don't want to do the inferior work. They don't want to do the lower income work. They don't want to do all this work, so we bring in the Mexicans. Because people aren't having kids. So if you have people who have kids, you're not killing them. You have an economy. You're having more consumers, more producers. You're having more workers, and the nation will sustain itself. Yet we're talking about, Mexicans are crossing the border and killing people. Yet we're protecting a very institution that's murdering people by the millions. It just boggles my mind, and I just wanted to express that to you guys. This is Theodore Shoebat. Hope you guys have enjoyed this message. Hope you guys have learned something from this message. You just heard some theology. God bless, and God be with us.